Oh, the Bulls. This team, man. Don't know how many times we're going to see it happen. It's got to the point where I actually almost prefer the Bulls to not take a big lead in games because they get complacent, don't stay focused, and blow the lead anyway. I mean, they literally blew a 19-point lead in a matter of 4 minutes in the second quarter. Now, I can't get that mad about this loss because, well, yes, the Bulls fumbled a big lead. They were playing against one of the better teams in the NBA and doing so with their two best players, which the Clippers have been clicking and playing very well now that both of those guys are getting healthy. It's unfortunate because both Kawhi and Paul George sat out their last game against the Cavs, and the Cavs torched them. Couldn't have just done that for this game instead of the Cavs, but I don't know. Maybe the Bulls would have showed out even worse if Kawhi and Paul George hadn't played because that's what they do. Who even knows at this point? And the fact remains the Bulls still kept the game close and competitive all the way down to the wire against one of the top teams in the NBA who have been really hot as of late, minus the last game against the Cavs when Kawhi and Paul George sat. But for me, the frustrating thing that we have seen from this team time and time again, which you saw it on display tonight, horrible execution down the stretch, which is quite frankly the opposite of what we saw last season. How many times are we going to see this where they're committing bad turnovers in the final moments, taking bad shots, not hustling back on defense when said shots don't go down, and how many mental lapses in executing final plays? I just don't get it. Over 50 games into the season, and you would have thought these guys would maybe learn something from their mistakes, but it's the same stuff over and over. I want to talk about the final minute or so of this one because the Bulls really should have taken this game and won it if they had just executed properly, especially with how poorly the Clippers shot tonight as a team and especially in that final minute. The Bulls, who had started making a comeback when they were down by as many as 6 points, I believe, in the final 2 minutes, hit some big shots to bring it within 1 point. DeMar DeRozan, which, by the way, had one of the worst games of his season. I'll talk about him more in a little bit. But you had the momentum and crowd on your side. The Bulls were getting back into the game. The Bulls are down now 2, 104-102, about 145 left in the game. Plenty of time left on the shot clock. DeMar comes down the court, doesn't set up a play, just takes a contested mid-range shot in isolation. Has Vucevic down low with a bunch of small guys on him. DeMar misses the shot, and Vooch isn't low enough to actually get the rebound. It's plays like this where you have to be smarter down in the clutch. I know DeMar usually hits big shots like this. I know he's the king of the fourth quarter, usually anyway, but that's not the right play. You have to set up a play in those scenarios, especially when you're still down. Bulls play great defense on the ensuing possession by the Clippers. They get a stop. Lavine takes the ball up, now close to a minute left to play. Doesn't set up a play at all again, just another ISO play, chucks up a three, not a good shot, but gets bailed out on getting fouled on the play, but then goes to the line and clanks the first 2 free throws and makes the last. So instead of the Bulls being ahead by 1 with around a minute remaining, still are now down 1 point. The Bulls still get lucky again. They get a stop on a missed 3 by the Clippers. DeMar brings the ball down. They're down 1 with about 40 seconds left to go. And again, doesn't set up a play, takes it in himself, loses his footing and trips, and then complains about getting fouled, which he continued to double down on even after the game, saying he knows he got fouled. And when you watch the replay, you see he clearly just fell over. Then DeMar fouls Paul George on the other end. The Clippers eventually get a couple free throws. The Clippers go up 106-103, 10 seconds left. And then, of course, you guys saw the inbounds play. That was a disaster in which DeMar and Zach went to the same spot on the strong side. Caruso's inbound pass, yes, wasn't the best. Kind of went right in between both of them. Lavine almost recovered the ball before Kawhi steals it, and the game was over by that point, which I don't know if you caught, some of the post-game interviews, but Billy Donovan essentially said they didn't execute the play well, citing they didn't make the right cuts, which led to bad floor spacing. We've kind of been seeing this from Billy in post-game videos more recently, where he's been putting more of the blame on the players for mistakes like these, whereas before you would hear him taking more ownership of something like this, which is a little unsettling because you don't want to piss off your locker room if you're throwing them under the bus to the media, especially when it seems like he's been kind of losing the locker room lately. At the same time, maybe this is a call out to the guys that they have to play better. They have to execute better down the stretch. If they're actually not following the play calls, yeah, that's a problem. But anyway, I don't know if we should read too much into that, but it just seems like Billy has been getting fed up. And I hate to say it, but a lot of this is also on him. Players are to blame. They need to be held accountable as well. But a big part of the reason the Clippers got back into the game when the Bulls took that 19-point lead was the fact that Billy Donovan sat Vooch to give him some rest, and rather than playing Andre Drummond on Zubac, he went with Derrick Jones Jr. He corrected that mistake at the start of the fourth quarter and played Drummond, but the Clippers rolled over the Bulls because of the mismatch down low. The other biggest difference in this game, turnovers. Bulls had 20 turnovers compared to the Clippers 8, because when you look at the box score and you see the Bulls shot 49% from the field, they actually shot the 3-ball well, 12 for 24 at 50%, and then you look at the Clippers, they shot horribly tonight, 39% from the field and a horrible 12 for 44 from 3. Still crazy that teams continue putting up more than 20 threes than the Bulls do in a single game. Just again speaks volumes to the Bulls' lack of shooting. And on top of that, the Bulls crushed them on the boards too, so you think, how did the Bulls lose this game? And then you see the turnovers. More specifically, the turnovers from their two best players in DeMar DeRozan and Zach Lavine, who combined for 14 turnovers alone. DeMar had 8 turnovers in total, the most of his career, which kind of just goes back to no matter what the Bulls do, even when some things are going their way, Vucevic finally starts playing at a high level or Lavine starts playing better, you're getting better games and improvements from Coby White and Dosunmu. I guess I shouldn't say Dosunmu and Patrick Williams, but then DeMar has a bad game with 8 turnovers for a guy who's normally very good at taking care of the ball. Lavine tonight, not the best shooting night for him, was 6 for 14, which I take back. I guess that's not that horrible of a shooting night. Had 18 points and really started coming alive in the third quarter, but what I appreciated from Zach was that, until the fourth quarter anyway, he wasn't forcing shots. He was making plays for others, taking the right shots. He didn't need to put up a ton of attempts because the Bulls were doing fine without his scoring. He nearly had his first career triple-double, finished the game with 18 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists. 14 rebounds was a career high for him, by the way. And then Vucevic. If I'm Vucevic, I got to be a little frustrated with this team because the guy has been playing very well. He plays unselfish basketball, and guys aren't going to him late in games when he's the only one who has been playing consistently well. Vucevic, yet again, another efficient night, 23 points on 10 for 15 shooting, 3 for 6 from 3, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. He was a team high, plus 10 on the night. I don't know, if I'm Vucevic going into free agency this offseason, do I even want to re-sign with this team if they're not going to use me properly? I guess the positive from this game was we got to see more flashes from Pat, because not only did he play some solid defense on both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, he had some nice plays, including that incredible pump fake and drive to the basket for that one-handed slam that got me up off my feet. We're still seeing some improvement from this kid, and you hope that continues because the future of this Bulls team is looking a little bleak at the moment. Also a solid game from Caruso, aside from that inbound pass, which I don't know if we can say that was really fully on Caruso, but was perfect from the field, 10 points, also played lockdown defense on Kawhi, 2 blocks, 2 steals. I really hope the Bulls don't move this guy at the deadline unless it's for a really good haul, because this isn't the guy that you want to give up on, not when he's on such a team-friendly contract. Anyway, I've got a special guest on the show tomorrow. Been a while since I've had a guest on, so thought I would get that back up and running. Be on the lookout for that and that video coming out tomorrow. Until then, guys, as always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.